Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to the Sober is Dope podcast. Happy New Year to everyone. Today's episode is based on my new book, Sober is Dope, Protect Your Sobriety. This book is about why relapse happens and how the brain and nervous system heal over time. Relapse really begins with a craving, and most of the time it begins with stress, fatigue, emotional overload, or a slow loss of inner safety. This book focuses on what happens before relapse thinking shows up and what it actually takes to protect sobriety in real life. In this episode, I'm going to read from the book and then share a few reflections. There's no rush, no performance. It's just information, grounding, and support. This book is important to me because after all of my years of sobriety and thinking about how I could effectively help the community, two things came to mind: protecting sobriety and learning about relapse and how to prevent it. I would say this: in all of my years, I noticed that there's many things that people don't discuss, and I consider these things incomplete treatment or incomplete approaches to recovery. And I think these are sometimes why many of us relapse and don't know why. Today, I will be reading from chapter one, which is the working thesis on relapse and addiction. This is from, again, the Sober is Dope book, Protect Your Sobriety. Relapse is not a character flaw. It is not a lack of willpower, morality, or commitment. In most cases, relapse is the predictable outcome of incomplete recovery. It happens when deeper injuries beneath addiction are never fully addressed, even when sobriety itself is sincere. Alcohol and drugs do not simply change behavior, they alter the brain and nervous system. Dopamine, serotonin, stress hormones, and emotional regulation are disrupted over time. The brain adapts to survive this chemical pressure, reshaping itself around relief and escape. When substances are removed, the injury does not instantly disappear. Detox stabilizes the body. Meetings provide structure and connection. Both matter, but neither repairs the full system on their own. When trauma, grief, mental health conditions, and lifestyle repair are left untreated, vulnerability remains. The substance may be gone, but the reason it once felt necessary is still active. Recovery becomes exhausting instead of grounding. Sobriety begins to feel fragile rather than protective. The missing pieces tend to follow a clear pattern. Unprocessed trauma does not fade quietly. It returns as irritability, emotional numbness, panic, sudden danger, sudden anger, or despair. Depression left untreated becomes a constant background pressure that erodes hope. Anxiety keeps the nervous system locked in a state of threat. Together, these conditions create a low grade internal noise that slowly pushes people back towards relief seeking behaviors, even when the desire to stay sober is strong. Social and emotional factors compound the risk. Many people built their identity, relationships, and sense of belonging around substances like alcohol and hard drugs. When that disappears, silence rushes in. Boredom stretches longer than expected. Fear of missing out sharpens. Social anxiety increases. After a slip, shame often takes over, turning a moment into a spiral. Instead of returning to care, people withdraw. Families may respond with anger or betrayal, misunderstanding relapse as a choice rather than a signal. One of the most damaging beliefs in recovery is the idea that all sober time is erased after a relapse. This model creates despair. People believe they have lost months or years of healing in a single moment, and that belief itself fuels further use. A healthier truth exists. Progress is not a race. You subtract the days used and keep the healing already built. The nervous system remembers regulation, the brain remembers stability, and growth does not reset to zero. There are also quieter drivers of relapse that really get named: Many people feel exposed in intimacy without alcohol or drugs. Performance anxiety rises, fear of rejection surfaces. Some worry they are less expressive or less desirable sober. Addiction often paired intimacy with intoxication, and early recovery breaks that link abruptly. This creates a vulnerable gap where people feel awkward, disconnected, or emotionally unsafe. This phase is temporary, but it requires patience. The brain and body need time to recalibrate, dopamine systems stabilize, hormones rebalance. Sensation becomes more authentic. With healing, intimacy deepens rather than disappears. Connection becomes present, grounded, and emotionally safe in ways it never was during active addiction. Spiritual emptiness is another overlooked factor. Without meaning beyond the self, people drift. For some, faith provides structure and support. For others, meaning comes through creativity, movement, service, or connection with nature. Everyone needs an anchor that gives life weight and direction. When nothing holds meaning, relapse fills the void. The deeper truth is simple. Relapse is not a personal failure. It is a result of missing tools, untreated wounds, and systems left unsupported. People relapse when trauma is ignored, when depression goes untreated, when shame spirals unchecked, when intimacy fears stay silent, when families misunderstand the process, when community fades, when meaning is absent. Relapse prevention becomes possible when these pieces are restored. It means repairing the brain and nervous system, treating the mental health seriously, facing trauma instead of outrunning it, building sober lives that feel alive rather than restricted, redefining intimacy without substances, reframing time so progress is not erased by a slip, reconnecting to meaning, whether spiritual, creative, or communal. Complete relapse prevention is not about never failing. It's about returning quickly, safely, and without shame. It is about coming back the same week instead of losing years. That is what changes outcomes. That is what makes sobriety sustainable. This is chapter 1, the working thesis on relapse and addiction. Sober is Dope book. Protect your sobriety. So my thoughts is simple before I close out this episode. This book was really important to me. It took over 13 years and seeing many of my friends overdose and many people relapse, and they really don't know why. They wake up the next day full of shame, guilt, embarrassment, and they just like, I don't know what happened. I feel terrible. And that shame and guilt and that spiral just takes them either all the way down the rabbit hole until they either hit rock bottom or die, or we're lucky enough to pull them back. I talk over the years, I speak so much about comorbid addictions and how mental health and our recovery go hand in hand. And without treating both, we kind of set ourselves up for failure. This book was created to kind of give you everything you needed to know about relapse and how to think about it on a deep level that's personal to you. You know, not every chapter, not every part may be pertinent to you, but there's something here that can give you insight on your journey and those blind spots that you may not be able to see, but you may be feeling. You know, you may be feeling the pressures socially. You may be feeling boredom set in. You may be feeling the fear of missing out. You may be feeling mental health issues creeping in, fatigue. You may be feeling sadness and emotional imbalances and not know why. And you might hold it in, and eventually, you know, people seek escape and then throw in a towel. So I'm full of hope. This is how I stay sober. I aggressively think about my recovery, where I've been, how far I've come, and my why. And I definitely follow the Bible verse, 1 Peter 5:8, be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, walketh around like a lion seeking whom he may devour. So part of being vigilant is understanding why we relapse and understanding how to avoid it and what to do in the worst case scenario. You're listening to Sober is Dope. I will add links to this book and all the other Sober is Dope books, but you can also find all of my work at soberisdopebooks.com. And remember to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Sober is Dope. And I recently celebrated 13 years sober from alcohol addiction. And if I could do it, anyone can. I love you all. I'm excited about 2026. Go in peace, and I'll catch you on the other side.